What's going on, guys? Jacob Orth back here with another video of Jacob's Life in Vegas, coming to you guys on a nice warm day here in Southern Nevada. Got the shades on, got the hat on, the Golden Knights hat. So before I go get a little exercise in today, I figured I would do a video for you and talk about something here for Las Vegas, that some of these things that could wind up being bad for Las Vegas and could wind up being bad for the state of Nevada in general. Now, some of these are going to be a little bit more short term that we're going to talk about, but what I want to focus more on here is the impact like longer term, right? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years out, that kind of thing. Now, obviously you can only see so far out and it's anyone's best guess what will happen. But some of these things I'm going to talk about could really spell trouble for Las Vegas going on in the future. And we're going to talk about it. Some are going to be public sector, some are private sector, some are things that are happening just within our control here in Nevada. Some of these things are outside of our control. But we're going to jump into 5 things that I think could really wind up screwing Las Vegas for years to come. The first thing we're going to talk about here is not the virus itself, but really the handling of the virus here in the state of Nevada. Everything that happened with the coronavirus, with the pandemic, and how much money that has cost Las Vegas, really, heck, even just this year in 2021. There was a good segment on the YouTube channel called Valuetainment.
Good to hear Vegas being back. It's great. Finally, Vegas is sitting around saying, holy freaking moly, how much more money are we going to lose to Texas and to Florida? They see Canelo's fight, Cowboy Stadium. They see NBA All-Star Game. They see NBA playoffs, Florida. They see Super Bowl, Florida. They see all this stuff taking place. Now, listen, how much money you think cost Vegas by seeing what Florida and Texas did? What is the number?
Hundreds of billions.
Billions of dollars. The #1 convention city in the world, potentially. The #1 convention city in the world is back open. I'm excited about this.
Thank God. It's about time. And, you know, it finally feels like common sense is kind of returning in this country. And, you know, good for Vegas. I guarantee you they were chomping at the bit to open way, way sooner, but their hands were tied and they couldn't.
And here in Las Vegas, I mean, we are essentially the convention capital of the world. So for us to lose that much money hurts big time. So really we have to play a lot of catch up when it comes to money we've lost. And especially during this time of year, from January to May are really a lot of the biggest conventions in Las Vegas. That's when you have conventions like CES, so for people in the tech industry, AVN for the adult film industry, SHOT Show for people in the firearms and hunting and outdoor industry, construction, NAB, right? We have huge conferences that bring, you know, millions of people to Las Vegas and bring billions of dollars of revenue that we haven't been able to have. So really we have to play catch up from a lot of that where we were losing money and now we're behind, where some other states chose to open earlier and they've been taking some of that money, they've been capturing that opportunity to get money that either would have potentially or normally just would come here to Nevada. The second thing we're going to talk about when it comes to things that could screw Las Vegas really long term, and this one actually is about Texas again. So if you guys don't know, there's been, I mean, a lot of you, if you follow Vegas and follow casinos and that kind of thing, in recent years there's been more and more casinos that have come up to be local casinos for people in their own state or nearby or something like that. So one of the big pushes recently was Las Vegas Sands actually pushed for Texas to legalize casinos and legalize gambling. Because Texas, like if you live in North Texas, you know, like Dallas, Fort Worth area, you can drive an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is over to the WinStar up in Oklahoma. But for a lot of people in Texas, you know, they don't have that kind of option to them. So if casinos were to be legalized in Texas, that could hurt people coming here to Las Vegas. So but that's just not Texas. That could be other states as well. California, other states around the country, legalizing gambling, pushing more and more to have their own casinos. Now, one thing that helps Las Vegas is the fact that we oftentimes have amenities that other places cannot offer. So, I mean, you look at the Strip here, right? Aside from having awesome casinos, we obviously have massive hotel properties. We have, you know, world-class suites. We have entertainment, we have clubs, we have shows, we have all kinds of stuff, restaurants, shopping, that other places cannot offer that Las Vegas can. Nonetheless, over the long term, if places do try to match Las Vegas, or places can even offer something that just keeps more people in their local area content enough to go there instead of coming to Las Vegas, long term, that could wind up having a bad impact on us here in Southern Nevada. The third thing we're going to talk about today is, this has to do with the casinos themselves actually, and turning people off from coming to Southern Nevada, is all the fees, surcharges, all that kind of stuff that is happening with the casinos, with the hotels, and things like that. I mean, stuff that said for years, like how parking was always free here in Las Vegas. Then, you know, MGM started charging for parking. Caesars followed after that. When resorts followed, then they backed off of it. And, you know, just with resorts fees, people coming here to Las Vegas paying $30, $40, $45, $50 a night resort fee. Restaurants who have the concession and franchise fee, so the CNF for a few percent. The 4% restaurant regulation fee that some restaurants have here. The $3.95 daily energy surcharge. So you have those kinds of fees. You have those kinds of things that really upset people when they do come here because they feel like they're being gouged. They're being nickel and dimed when they're coming here to Las Vegas. Now, there are people who really don't mind that because some people look at that and they say, hey, it's still a great value. Because for some people, they look to say, hey, where can I get all of this for the price that you're going to pay here? So there are people, especially those who travel a lot outside of Las Vegas, who feel that coming here to Las Vegas, what they can get here for the amount of money they spent is still a great value. Now again, the concern with that is for how long? For how long is that the case? How long do people feel like they're still getting a good bang for their buck? The fourth thing we're going to talk about here, as I'm moving away from the construction here, because it's getting a little loud. Just me and the construction workers out here and all the cars going by. But the fourth thing we're going to talk about for Las Vegas here that could really hurt is gas prices, okay? And this is probably the most short-term one on the list because I'm really talking about this summer. Because gas prices, a lot of you are probably familiar with, you know, tend to go up in the summertime. So that's pretty common. But what people are concerned about now is inflation. All that money that's been printed the last, 14, 15 months, somewhere in that vicinity, all the trillions of dollars that have been printed, you know, all that money being thrown into the economy, you know, people are concerned about the inflation continuing to go up and getting worse over the summertime. Now, this could be particularly big if gas prices, say in Southern California, wind up reaching $5 a gallon. A lot of you have seen recently about here in Nevada how high Nevada's gas prices have gotten in the Las Vegas area compared to other states. But if we're talking about tourism here and people coming here to Las Vegas, what happens in Southern California with gas prices is something to keep an eye on. Now, part of the reason their gas prices are generally higher is because they got tons of regulations and extra taxes and things that are on their on their gas prices there that, you know, wind up getting passed off to you, the individual. So people wind up paying for part of the reason people wind up paying for higher gas prices in Los Angeles. Now, if gas prices do get to that point in Los Angeles where you're looking at, you know, $4.50, $5+ a gallon, that's really going to hurt us here when it comes to our weekend tourism. Because one of the things you'll learn in Las Vegas, a lot of you that have worked in hospitality understand this, during the week is oftentimes when you have your business crowd, your convention crowd that come here to the Strip. So weekdays, you'll have people for conventions, business conferences, trade shows, all that kind of stuff all over the place here during the week. That really helps keep the weekdays filled here for the hotel rooms here in Las Vegas. On the weekends though, that's when you tend to get a lot more of just your drive-in traffic, a lot of from California, also from Arizona or from Utah or other states in general. That's a lot more of your bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, people just coming, you know, casual tourists for a weekend, that kind of thing. Different than your business crowd that comes during the week. So if that winds up if the gas prices wind up getting bad enough in the summertime that they hit $5 a gallon in Southern California, you can pretty much guarantee we're going to see a decrease of people coming here for the weekend. So, and at a time when our economy here is getting pretty close to being fully open, we could use the revenue. So, but if the inflation gets high enough, gas prices get high enough in Southern California that people are like, forget it, I'm just gonna wind up staying home, then that's going to hurt us over the summertime, which is going to hurt us as far as all the money we're trying to make up for that we've lost and the events that have gone to other states and things like that. The fifth and final thing we're going to talk about here when it comes to things that could hurt Las Vegas and the state of Nevada going forward in the future, this is going to be about the public sector, and this is about taxes. And what's happened here recently in Nevada is we had, if you guys didn't see it, the sales tax increase that you guys have seen me talk about this a few times on the channel. So there was a sales tax increase that passed in 2019 that was supposed to go for education, but you guys remember I did a follow-up to that, an article that came out that showed how the county commission passed the sales tax increase that Carson City allowed them to do. So that was passed by the county commission, but then they started to open it up to other government agencies. So the whole thing of going to education, they were supposed to go to education, you know, they opened it up to other government agencies, right? Common tactic. So here's what happened. So that sales tax increase that the county passed was supposed to expire. Well, now that sales tax increase has been extended. Now, that tax increase was extended, and now they're also looking at possibly raising the sales tax again here in Clark County, which if that's the case, it would wind up bringing us to an 8.5% sales tax here in the Las Vegas area. It would be 8.5%. So now some may argue because of the lost revenue we had during COVID that it's important to keep that. Now we can debate that and debate how much, you know, money government needs, because it's can't be zero, but the debate about how much we want to give and how well the money's being used is always a big question. And one of the things that's concerning about it is lots of people see that and they say, oh, well, it's just the tourists paying it. Because lots of people, when they think about Las Vegas, they think of the Strip, right? They think of downtown. They think of all the tourist stuff here. And they say, well, if we increase the sales tax, then, you know, a lot of that money is going to come from the tourists. And that's true that the bulk of it is going to come from the tourists who visit here. When in a normal year, when you get 35, 40 plus million people visiting Las Vegas, yes, the bulk of that sales tax revenue is going to come from the tourists. However, we do have a couple million people who live here in Clark County that they're the ones who on a regular basis are going to be hit with that tax even more than the tourists are. Tourists may come here 2 days, 3 days, 5 days a week, whatever the case may be. But for the millions of locals who live here, they're the ones who are going to be paying that on, you know, when they go buy clothes, when they go buy groceries and things like that. When they're in their daily life, they're going to be more impacted by this. So I know a lot of times the focus is on the tourists, but without the millions of people who live here that help keep everything operating, the tourists don't have a place to visit. So we have to take into consideration the locals who live here and increasing those taxes on the locals. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, what you guys thought of the breakdown, what points you guys think are valid. If there's something you think I missed, let me know about it down in the comments section. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I appreciate all of you watching and being so awesome. That's it for this video. I am Jacob, and this is My Life in Vegas.